Hi everyone, Tim the Plane Man here, and welcome to Plane Time Uni-RC10 edition. So if you've been following my channel, you probably know that I've been flying the awesome SiYi UniRC10 flight controller for probably about a year now, and I love it. But what I have here, thank you to my friends at SiYi, personally addressed, is the brand new Uni-RC10 RC control system. I'm gonna unbox it and I'm gonna show you what's great about this really exciting piece of gear. Oh, look at that. To Tim. Personalized approach. Thank you guys. That's really wonderful. Look, to Tim. All right. Well, let's have a look inside. Open it up. Wow, look at that. That is a piece of equipment right there. And let me just get that out of the box here. And so that, let's see how this goes. Looks like it comes out. We'll have a look at that in a second. More interesting stuff to look at. Special power supply, 65 watt USB-C power charger, and very nice assembly in the box. And here we have the air unit. Just looks a lot like the air unit for the Uni-RC10. We'll have a little bit of a look at that in more detail in a minute. This is the main event, the controller itself. The box is beautiful, nice and solid, reusable, got a handle for carrying it around very comfortably. Really nice size actually, not a whole lot bigger than the box for the Uni-RC10, and I think that should work just quite nicely. So let's just take a quick look at the outside of the controller itself before we even turn it on. And what I want to do is quickly compare the RC10 and the RC7. So look at this. Here we have the RC7 and here we have the RC10. So this really is a case of more is more. The Uni-RC10, as you can see, is bigger, has more switches, more dials, more joysticks. The screen is 10.1 inches with 1920 by 1200 resolution. So that's as that's as good a screen resolution as many people have on their PC monitors or laptop monitors. Sometimes maybe even better. This has 2000 nits of brightness. So the Uni-RC7 has 1600 nits, which actually works amazingly well for flying out in very bright sunlight. This one has 2000 nits of brightness. On top of it, look at the back. There is a huge battery here, and there's two batteries. There's an internal battery and an external battery with up to 5 hours of battery life and the ability to charge while flying or charge while discharging. So you can plug in an external battery source to recharge if you need to extend that battery life during flight. Maybe plug in an external battery. And this amazing stand here, so you can stand the controller whatever's comfortable on your desk. And really nice little thought here, but this is actually a standard connector for a tripod. So this could actually be have a tripod screwed in here, and you could stand it up. Let's just see if I can do it. So that can stand up like that. It could be mounted on a tripod, and then you can fly FPV on the screen here with a gimbal camera. They've thought of everything. I think it's really nice just from the very beginning. So let's have a look at some of the components. I'll put everything together and then we'll fire it up and have a look at what's inside the controller. So let's take a quick look at the accessories. Before we get to the main event. I was wondering where this is. So this is the special strap, because it's actually quite heavy. There's a strap that goes over your head so you can hold the device in front of you. Show you that a little bit later on. What we'll do now is focus on the key things that come in the box. The USB cable for the charger. Oh, they provide an RJ45 Ethernet cable, because the device actually has a network connection RJ45, so that you can connect this to either directly to a computer via Ethernet or to a router. This will be for connecting the air unit to the flight controller and to other devices on the plane. So this is the air unit here, and we will have a look at that a little bit later on. We have a XT30 lead ready for soldering. Ideally, it would be 12 volt power. It takes 3S up to, I think, 14S. And this is how the power will get to the air unit on the plane. Lastly, there's all the antennas. Seems like an awful lot of antennas here, and it's often confusing how the antennas work. So let's have a quick look at the antennas. There's 4 antennas that have silver ends on them, like this. They match. Those 2 antennas go, 2 at the air unit side and 2 at the controller side. And then these 2 seem to be unmatched. And the reason they're unmatched is because the control station has external antennas, and I think that's for the 2.4 gigahertz. And then internally, there's the antenna for the 5.8. So you don't need to deal with 4 sets of antennas on your ground unit, but you do need to install 2 black and 2 silver antennas on the air unit. That means 2 silver will be going onto the ground unit here, like this. And then the way to point them is to point the flat side of the antenna, get it the right way up. The flat side of the antenna points towards the vehicle, not the point. The Uni-RC10 is IP54 rated, which means it's dust resistant and water resistant. It can take splashes of water, but don't dunk it in the pool. And the SIM card for mobile data actually get installed in the bottom of the controller here. And if you look closely, you can see they're labeled SIM, TF, or SD card, Type C, which is for USB connection to a computer or for charging. And also there's a microphone jack so that you can connect headphones or a headset. The key thing about both the SD card and the SIM card is that they get installed upside down from respect to the top of the device. So you'd think that the SD card goes in that way, but actually it goes in upside down. So the SD card goes in the TF card slot. I've just got a new clean 32 gigabyte SD card that I'm just using for now. And that just clicks in nicely, and you can feel the click. And the same thing with the SIM card. You need an unlocked data SIM card to use with this device, but it does work quite nicely so that you can get mobile data for things like maps when you're out in the field, and the SIM card slots in there. Now let's fire it up and see how it comes up with SD card, SIM card, and internet. So first of all, we have to deal with Chinese. Swiped up from the bottom. I go to settings, and then I go to general. And now everything is in English, as you can see. Okay, now let's have a quick look at, actually go this way. What we want to do is check the internet and see what we've got in terms of SIM card. So we're connected to the internet and we're using very little data on the internet, but we can set a data warning. And I probably want to do that because I want to make sure I don't go over. The data warning I want is 5 gigabytes because I have a 6 gigabyte plan on this SIM card. Now what that means is, although I'm right now on internet or Wi-Fi, that if I wasn't on internet or Wi-Fi and I was out in the field, the device can actually connect to the internet using the SIM card. And I know that that does work because I've also done that with my RC7 Pro. So that does work nicely. So let's have a quick look in there. We're connected. Now I've connected everything. What I've done is I've gone and gotten the SiYi UniRC10 Nano flight controller that I'm setting up for my new build, different project. But the nice thing is that it's all set up on this board, and what I've been able to do is connect the air unit for the Uni-RC10 to the flight controller. One of the key things that we were trying to figure out was which antennas connect to which connectors on the end of the air unit here. So the key is that the black goes to silver and silver goes to black. So as you can see, two of the cables that come out of the air unit here, the two that are not detachable, they're black coming out of here, and they go to these antennas, which are the 2.4 gigahertz antennas. The ones where they're silver, and these are actually detachable from the air unit, they go to the 5.8 gigahertz antennas. And one thing that I clarified with my friends over at SiYi, is that you can, if you configure the air unit to run just 2.4 gigahertz, you could actually remove the 5.8 gigahertz antennas and just run with the 2.4s. That's actually doable. That's a thing. Okay, so just quickly on the app, on the controller side, you'll notice now on the controller screen that I've installed a couple of other apps. I've installed Tailscale and Dropbox, which is the VPN that I really like to use to manage my IoT devices, all my drones, my flight controllers, my companion computers, and the controllers. It works really well. There'll be a separate video about that at some point. And for uploading and downloading videos recorded on the controller, I've found the simplest way to do this is to use Dropbox. You may have your favorite drive app like Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive that you might want to use. You can also use the SD card by taking it out. You can use the USB to transfer files, but it's really, really simple from my perspective. You just go into Dropbox, click on a file and say upload to my Dropbox, and it'll be on my PC. So I love to do that. And of course, in addition to UniGCS, it's also quite possible to install and run the entire system using QGround control. And so I've installed the latest daily build of QGround control, which has the newest stuff in QGround control to work with ArduPilot 4.7, which is currently in beta. And in particular, it has some really nice features around dealing with flight modes and that kind of stuff. But for today, we're going to focus on the air unit and how the air unit works when connected to a ArduPilot flight controller, and in this case, the really awesome SiYi UniRC10 Nano. So what happens if I plug it in? Let's get that to come up. So one important thing here is that the flight controller will run on battery power up to 14S, and as you can see, basically I've wired it so the power comes directly off the power distribution board for the flight controller. The power is connected. The air unit is bound. When you get your Uni-RC10, your Uni-RC7, an air unit, they come pre-bound out of the box, so you don't need to bind the air unit to the flight controller. It will just connect. but you can bind additional air units. In fact, if we go to the system menu in here, it's possible to bind up to 5 different air units to a single controller, and you can dynamically switch between them. So one controller can be used to fly up to 5 different vehicles just by switching the air unit that's selected without having to rebind. It works great. So what we've got now is we've got the map showing on the flight controller. We've got our GPS giving GPS location. That tells us where we are on the map. The air unit is communicating to the ground control station using, and let's have a look at the settings on that one too. Image transmission settings. The image transmission settings menu is where you can select the frequency band that you want to use with the controller. So in here, I could, for example, just select use only 2.4, and it would basically select that option. So then I would be able to leave the 5.8 antennas off and just run this whole system with 2.4. That's totally doable. So that's the complete configuration. Now, there's a lot of other information about how to set up all of the buttons and switches and controls and various different options in the Uni-GCS application that control the air unit and its communication. I go through in exhausting detail about how to configure and set up everything on the Uni-RC10. I'm really looking forward to the next step, which is to put this one into my Brolga. Currently running Express LRS. I want to run this with the Uni-RC10. I think it'll be just absolutely awesome with that vehicle. Tim the Plane Man, over and out. If you like this video, please click the like button. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss any interesting videos in the future. And please share this video with others. It's really important. It helps me to keep this channel going.